Kia ora tātou te wana nau mai hoki mai ki tētahi kiri a hau. Thank you so much for clocking into yet another one. In today's video, we will be testing and having a look at the muzzle brake. Today we have the muzzle brake 1 and our tier 2 muzzle brake as well. And we have a selection of weapons here that I have available in my current stash at the moment. There are more weapons obviously, but we have the Anvil, we have Ferro, pretty much single fire ones, bolt action fire weapons, and some more semi-automatic or lever action weapons, and some full auto weapons and shotguns as well. We've tested the compensator and how that reduces the per shot dispersion and reduce max shot dispersion as well. So shout out to everyone who has commented on that video, helping all of us to understand. Well, I hope everyone took something out of that video and kind of learned a little bit more about shot dispersion, at least in arc raiders. There was a beautiful comment in that video as well that gave an IRL perspective from a hunter. So whether they're hunting, I don't know, probably deer and whatever it may be, we got a cool little insight in there, and that's what it's all about. We're all about learning on this channel. But today we're going to be testing the muzzle brake and how they help the weapon, how they reduce vertical and horizontal recoil. So we're just gonna focus on muzzle brakes specifically, and I say that because you have stocks that you can attach on some weapons, and those also, depending on the tier, can also reduce more recoil, shot dispersion, this, that and the other. But just bringing it back to the purpose of this video, we're looking at the muzzle brakes today and see how they perform, see how they affect different weapons that we have here. So we're back in the range here, as we always are, and we're going to start with the Anvil. Basically, I think the best way to do this is that we will do a few shots and we'll try and do the side-by-sides again. The hard thing about that is, if we want to eye it up, I guess we can. When we put them side by side, I guess we can, right? The other way is we can mark where we shot first and where it landed. The thing that I've noticed before getting into this one here is with single fire weapons like the Anvil, you'll notice that the recoil doesn't reset on its own. So you have to manually do that yourself. Just for example there, we change to the Ferro here, it does the same. So when we shoot it, even when we let go, it doesn't reset the recoil. If we go over to an Osprey, this is a scoped bolt action weapon. So it holds 8 in the mag. I think that's default. Yeah, default. But when you shoot this, the recoil resets. So I don't know how that's going to significantly help anyone, but just to let you know, and if you didn't know, now you know. Also on the scope, it does move. It has scope sway and everything like that. This weapon, if you haven't seen the clips on TikTok, social medias, YouTube, it has incredible hip fire as well, and there's people doing insane things with the movement and the hip fire with this weapon. Also, you know, scope in, scope out, quick scope this, that and the other. So that's one little thing that I kind of noticed while doing my quick little feeler test with these weapons. But we'll switch this back out with the Anvil, and then I guess we'll do one shot. We'll try our best to be straight on the mark, because it isn't going to, or weapons like the Anvil, it isn't going to automatically reset the recoil. So we're just going to have to eye it back up and try our best. And then we'll do 3 shots per weapon, and then we'll do the side-by-sides, but obviously we wouldn't do it 3 times. So 1 without any attachment, 1 with the tier 1 muzzle brake, 1 with the tier 2 muzzle brake. And it's going to be a simple test. I don't really know what we're going to get out of this fully as we're walking through this together. But basically, if we look at the stats here, 15% reduced vertical recoil for muzzle brake 1, 15% reduced horizontal. So there's vertical and horizontal recoil. On the tier 2 muzzle brake, you got 20%, so it's 5% extra. So we shouldn't, looking at these stats, we shouldn't see too much improvement when it comes to the muzzle brake 2. So I guess what we're going to find out here is it worth crafting a muzzle brake and putting that on your weapon? whether that be a single fire weapon, whether that be a fully automatic weapon. Obviously, we can't put these on a shotgun. These different and certain attachments for those type of things, or those type of guns, sorry. So we got 15% and 20%. And we're just focusing on muzzle brakes once again. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but just so we know, I just want to let everyone be aware of that. So we're going to do Anvil shot without any attachments. This will be it. I'm going to put the muzzle brake 1 on it. And then we'll put the muzzle brake 2 on it. And we'll put those side by side. One thing I did notice though, with the Anvil and the Ferro as well, the vertical recoil on these guns ain't consistent. I don't know, and I'm not too sure of any of the vertical recoils, horizontal recoil, or recoil in general with a gun is consistent. What I mean by that is, and it's super random, it's really weird. So I'll just shoot the whole mag here. So that landed there. Go again. That landed there. Go again, and that landed there. So this is a good example of what I mean by the recoil. It's real random. Sometimes when you shoot roundabout in the same area, this is alright. This is not too bad because it's in the general area of the recoil, right? Like the recoil is always coming to assist the general area. But what I mean by random is like it randomly jumps this way. And I don't know what really affects that, but that's what I've noticed with the Anvil and the Ferro as well. The reason I wanted to mention that is because doing this test on an Anvil seemed a little bit wonky. As we can tell, it's pretty clear between the no attachments and with both attachments on that the recoil is higher without attachments on it. But when we come to the muzzle brake 1 and 2, because the recoil or horizontal recoil made them land in different places, I know it's due to horizontal recoil of the gun itself. But it kind of looks like in some ways that the muzzle brake 2 is higher than the muzzle brake 1. And sometimes when I look at it again, it's like muzzle brake 1 is a little bit higher than muzzle brake 2. And it kind of makes sense when you go from a 15% horizontal and vertical recoil with a muzzle brake 2, it's 20%. So it's going to look minuscule anyway, judging by the descriptions of these attachments. So that's what's going to happen. So we'll switch over to a Ferro. It's only a tier 1 Ferro, by the way. Doesn't really affect what we're trying to do. So we'll aim here. And then it ends there. So we can see the shot here. We'll put the muzzle brake on it. Put it here. Random. It is lower than without the muzzle brake on it though. So this was the first shot here. This was the second. Then we'll put a muzzle brake 2. And shoot here. And the second one's just under. So the muzzle brake 2, once again, in terms of vertical and horizontal recoil, it's only a 5% difference. So just looking at this here, that's pretty accurate in terms of the description of these attachments, right? Muzzle brake 1, 15% reduced horizontal and vertical recoil. Muzzle brake 2, 20% horizontal and vertical recoil. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good, right? But these are single fire sniper type weapons. So look at that. Look how random that is. So it kind of comes from up here to down here. And on the muzzle brake 2, it kind of goes down a little bit more. As we can see here with the side-by-sides, significant jump in recoil, and we could probably say horizontal recoil as well. I'm still trying to decide or figure out whether that is a factor within this testing now. But no attachment, it's a real big jump to the left as well, quite significant. But between the muzzle brake 1 and muzzle brake 2, where the shot ends is pretty similar. Once again, it behaves very much like the Anvil. So not too surprised there. The little percentages between the 1 and 2 muzzle brakes, pretty accurate in my opinion. But I think the key thing in this part here, as I'm watching this back and looking at it, is where does the horizontal recoil kick in, and as a part of how the gun behaves as well. But this is the Ferro. So I guess you'd have to judge what you want to craft, right? Like the difference between a muzzle brake and the crafting cost of a muzzle brake would probably, in my opinion, for me personally, would be the decision. Do you want the extra 5% recoil or not? Granted that you're only using these, right? Like if you use these in conjunction with other attachments, it could be totally different. I understand that, but just looking at these muzzle brakes alone, that's what we're looking at. Kapai. So we'll put those ones away, and we'll bring an Osprey, and also we got this Renegade as well. Wait, do I have a size on it? Oh, we got to extend the barrel on that. Okay, so this is going to increase the vertical recoil. We'll take that off for a bit. We do have a kinetic converter as well. For the purpose, we'll take all of this off because it's going to increase vertical recoil by a lot. So we'll try and keep it consistent. So we'll go into the Osprey here. No attachments, tier 4 for both weapons as well. This is a bolt action and it has a magazine size of 8. And yeah, that's really all we need to look at. We'll come back on this side just because we'll see it. Alright, so first shot with no attachments. Another shot with compensator 1. Like it's in the same area. Third shot with muzzle brake 2. To me, on the Osprey, it looks like it's in the same area. And what I'm kind of learning as well is if it's a single shot or if it's a sniper-like weapon, such as, look, this is a break action weapon, Anvil, Ferro, and even the Osprey, you're probably going to want to use a compensator. Some may argue that using no compensator or muzzle brake has significant effects or improvements on weapons such as these. If we look at the very height of the recoil with the Osprey here, we can see a pattern. With no attachment, it's quite noticeable and significant jump in vertical recoil, maybe somewhat horizontal as well. But if you just look at the head of the dummy there within the frame here, you can see the muzzle brake 1 and muzzle brake 2 are very similar. They're not significant. The muzzle brake is down a little bit more, but it isn't massive. So when it comes to these type of weapons, I guess this is a little insight. It isn't massive. It might be a little bit nerdy, but there are differences there when it comes to muzzle brakes and vertical horizontal recoil. We may see a lot more differences on how fully automatic weapons behave. So let's get into those ones. Popeye, we'll go into the Renegade, which is a lever action, somewhat of a semi-automatic, but technically lever action, and it holds 8 bullets. If you notice as well, look at that. The recoil isn't big on this at all, which is nice, so maybe a compensator might work better on it. Once again, maybe not. Maybe we can throw in an extended barrel. So, and we'll do the side by sides. Okay, this is with no attachments. This is with the muzzle brake 1. This is with the muzzle brake 2. Seems like it's basically virtually in the same area. The recoil doesn't really change too much. When you're shooting slow, might help. Once again, we're getting the same common thread here in terms of the recoil. At the height of it though, on a Renegade, it doesn't seem to look very different at all. But in this particular test that we done in this frame here, was only with one shot. So we let the recoil go up and then we let it reset as well. But where the muzzle brake might come in handy and be effective on a weapon is fully automatic, or if we spam the Renegade. So we'll put those side by side instead and see if we get a different result. Alright, we'll see the climb when it comes to maybe we spam it a bit. 8 shots. So it climbed right up there. We'll go muzzle brake 1. Start here again. Definitely lower. Definitely lower. That's a big improvement. We'll go muzzle brake 2. Same area. Oh, sorry. Okay, it might have went up to the same spot, to be honest. The recoil is very similar. It looks pretty much the same. So we ended here first. We might have ended around about here, I reckon, if we shot properly, but this is where the muzzle brake 2 stopped. So it went from here to here. Pretty good improvement. And I guess the Renegade is one of those weapons that you do want to, you know, take advantage of the fire rate on this thing, especially at tier 4. 8 shots. Once again, at the height of the recoil here, it is very much worth putting on a muzzle brake 1 for sure, and then you can kind of second guess and decide for yourself if you need a muzzle brake 2. And once again, the common thread is with no attachment, the vertical recoil is going to be much more higher. And between the muzzle brake 1 and muzzle brake 2, there are improvements with the recoil here, but between those two attachments, there isn't much differences between the two. And now we come to the automatics, which is perfect. But I guess we'll just put side by side once again, reload this bad boy, and then we'll see how we go. A good thing to note, I should probably mention, is that I'm aiming down sight with all of this recoil testing as well. When you hit fire, a lot of people prefer it, to be fair. It does recoil higher, most definitely. We'll just quickly, you know, this is aiming down sight. So that's how far that went. And then this is hit fire. So quite significantly, you know, higher recoil. But this is the Stitcher without any attachments, and we'll go through the muzzle brakes. Yep. Muzzle brake 1 and 2 to me seems similar. Big difference is without any attachments on it. You put a 1 and then we put a 2. Okay, cool. Now we're getting into the automatic weapons here. We are getting some different looks. In particular, I'm noticing more of the reduced horizontal recoil that the muzzle brake provides as well. As you can tell, with no attachment, it climbs very high. The left to right jumping of the reticle is quite sporadic, as opposed to the muzzle brake 1. It's a bit more tighter. The horizontal going left and right. And then the muzzle brake 2, it's even more tighter. And obviously, it doesn't recoil as high. So hopefully this gives you an insight as to how the weapon behaves without and with these attachments, but also helps you decide on how to control a weapon, but also whether you should aim down sight or you just hit fire your weapon. Pretty similar. So the muzzle brake 1 and 2, once again, to me, it seems as if, like, it's up to you what you want to craft, what is cheaper to use, in my opinion. So that's the Stitcher. put these back on now. And then we'll move on to the Bobcat, which is a really cool weapon to use. I do have the extended light mag 3, which I'll stake with the blueprint, but we'll take that off real quick. Let's test this. We'll do no attachment, tier 1, tier 2 muzzle brakes. Pretty high. A little bit lower. A little bit lower again. Once again, it's pretty consistent in terms of tier 1 and tier 2 muzzle brakes, in my opinion. That's totally up to you. Obviously, you want to control that recoil as much as you can. The bigger the mag, the better. As we know, the Stitcher and the Bobcat are the SMG light weapons within the game. And something that I can notice as we're doing these side-by-side videos, furthermore slowing them down and trying to analyze how the guns are behaving with the muzzle brake, is I can see some distinctive differences between the Bobcat and the Stitcher. If you look at the Stitcher on the left, you can notice quite distinctively the horizontal recoil of the gun. You can see the reticle jumping left to right as it climbs with the vertical recoil as well. With the Bobcat, and this might be due to the fire rate, the horizontal recoil seems to be a bit more tighter, more so that you can't distinctively see your reticle jumping left to right as you can with the Stitcher here. This is more of a weapon versus weapon comparison, not so much the muzzle brake, but the reason I bring that up is more personal reasons, as I struggle using the Stitcher. I can have a light mag 2 or 3 and attachments on it, and for some reason when I meet them to close range with hip fire, I struggle to finish or knock raiders down with it, and I'm always scratching my head like, what the hell? On the flip side, I'm getting pumped with the Stitcher, and I'm always confused as to why. So this isn't the most groundbreaking insight, so to speak, but hopefully that little insight can help someone out there understand what a weapon might be doing, and you might be left confused as to why you just unloaded a whole clip. It could be a lot of things, but yeah, I just hope you learn something from that little thing. And then we got the bad boy, the Tempest. We got a tier 4 one here for everyone as well. I do have a long barrel on it, but we'll take that off for the purpose of this. And then we'll continue on our testing. Damn, we might have to drop some bullets here for the purpose. Alright, so we'll do get some quick bullets while we're here. It's a medium. Yep. Let's do the side by side, obviously without attachments and with the muzzle brakes as well. So without attachments, huge recoil, holy heck. Tier 1 muzzle brake, yeah, not as high. Tier 2 muzzle brake. This is a buzzy weapon. As you can tell, maybe when you shoot 3/4 of the mag is when any type of horizontal recoil kicks in, and that's towards the top end of the recoil. But essentially halfway and just over, it's essentially a pure vertical recoil, which is very interesting in this one, where a lot of the weapons kind of jump as they climb as well. It's good to know that Tempest has minimal horizontal recoil on it. For about 3/4 of the mag, all you have to worry about is horizontal recoil control. And so where the muzzle brake 1 and muzzle brake 2 come in is to improves the rate in which the vertical recoil goes at. So obviously at the end of the mag without attachment, it's going to be quite high without any recoil control. And with the muzzle brake 1 and 2, again, common thread, it's going to be similar. It's going to end. Muzzle brake will end slightly higher than the muzzle brake 2 on it. So once again, it'll be up to you which one that you want to craft and put on this weapon. if you want to use the muzzle brake in this case. That's it. Once again, like, I don't know if you can see it the way that I see it, but this recoil, like the pellets are real close together. It's not as jumpy. It's got some good fire rate, and it does hurt as well when you get shot by it, especially in the head. But yeah, like once again, you just gotta control that recoil and you'll be away. You'll be murking everyone in the lobby pretty much. And yeah, that's the Tempest, and that's, I feel like, a pretty good testing. And obviously we can't put muzzle brakes. Oh, let's take this off. We can't put muzzle brakes on the shotguns, but for the purpose, I thought I'll put them here. We need some weapon ammo for it. And I just wanted to see, just like the Anvil and the Ferro, if... Oh, wrong one, sorry. If the recoils reset. So aim down again. Once again, just like the Anvil. And also the Ferro, it doesn't reset the recoil. So it's something manually you have to do. Volcano. Oh, surprisingly, this one resets. Interesting. Hellfire. But then the Toro doesn't reset at all. ADS. No ADS. There we go. Yeah, so once again, I didn't mean to say earlier, but basically when it comes to muzzle brakes, it'll basically be up to you if you want to spend a different mats on the muzzle brake 2 or on the muzzle brake 1. Obviously ones are very, like tier 1 attachments in general are very, very affordable and pretty cheap to make. The tier 2 muzzle brake, I think you're dipping into things being like a green attachment, like mechanical parts and whatnot to kind of craft it, which is also what you need for crafting other things, or other things that I use is mechanical parts and whatnot too. So I guess that's my little learning from this testing using muzzle brakes and understanding these attachments a little bit more. But let me know down in the comment section what you guys prefer. Maybe we can do some testing in conjunction with like stocks or what are these things over here called? Grips. Yeah, like under barrel grips and stocks and stuff like that. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this test, about muzzle brakes in general. Are they good? Are they not good? Is there a big difference between the tier 1 and tier 2 muzzle brakes? Am I missing something here? Maybe there's like a certain weapon that I'm not using it on that'll probably unlock that weapon, so to speak. But yeah, that's going to be our testing for today. Appreciate everyone for supporting the previous videos. I hope you do enjoy these. By the looks of the analytics, people are enjoying this a little bit more. But I have noticed a lot of people who are watching it are not yet subscribed to the not stream. I have noticed that a lot of people who are viewing the videos are not yet subscribed, so consider subscribing to the channel if you're enjoying or learning something from these videos. And if you haven't yet, leave a like on the video, and yeah, let's talk more down in the comment section. E te wano. Nei rata mi nui kia koutou katoa. Thank you so much for watching and supporting our channel. Mai tātou koutou e tia ki a manaaki. Look after yourself, look after your wano, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Mā te wā.